Ghost Hope Magazine welcomes in the crew from Atrocity Girl, Kitty Junk, and a bunch of other projects. How are you doing today?
Hi, we're
Hi.
good.
I'm doing fantastic. Just rocking out hard every day, all day.
Love it. Love it. It has been a very tough time in the world, as I'm fond of saying, as we all know. So as much as I'm dying to unpack all this awesome music and activism stuff, I want to obviously make sure you all are okay. You know, it's just a lot. The whole world is a lot right now. And, you know, there's good stuff, Pride, Juneteenth, you know, cool things happening, you know,
Totally.
great music and art, but also like what a tough time. So hopefully you're in one piece, your families, your friends, your collaborators, your conspirators. I hope you're all okay, because this has just been the worst.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It
Yeah,
has been
you
the
as well.
worst. Yeah, you too, for sure. Yeah, we're good.
Awesome.
We're vaccinated. So.
Yeah, I know we're vaccinated. We got shows
Me
on
too.
the books.
Me too. And I felt a real wave of relief when I got the second one, because honestly, I haven't really been out much in the last year and a half. And I was like, I don't want to people right now. And I moved from the East Coast, from chaotic, crazy Brooklyn to California. So I'm in a little quiet burg now. And for at least for now, I will be moving closer to humans soon. But yeah, I just was like, I need a change. And I think what's fascinating about y'all is you also seem to have doubled down during this period of time, creatively and personally and professionally and in your communities, which I love. It's like just right off the bat, props, because, you know, listen, there's a lot of people who felt like, okay, the world is at a standstill and I will be too, and that's cool.
Yeah.
If you felt like you couldn't do your thing or this stifled you in any way, emotionally or creatively, fine. Yes. I was like, I don't know what else to do except work like a fiend. So I'm going to double and triple down whatever I do more. And it's worked out, but a lot of people have lost and suffered, right? So
yeah, which has been sad.
Awful.
So should we introduce ourselves?
Yeah, please do. Let's let everyone know who you are.
My name is Ryan Lee, and I am the bass player for Atrocity Girl and the guitar player for Kitty Junk. And I also lead a punk band called Mallory as well, and play guitar and sing in that band.
I'm Angie, and I am the drummer for Atrocity Girl and the drummer for Kitty Junk, and been working hard founding the Women in Audio group this past year.
Yes, and we're going to definitely talk all about that. By the way, is your group, is that Mallory like the formal first name Mallory, or am I getting that name wrong?
No, you got it. It's Mallory. Oh, okay. Like, yeah.
Like Family Ties, the sister.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, Justine Bateman. You can never forget the 80s because, you know, the best decade ever for everything. I know we all thought we were going to come through like this crazy period of time of like Trumpism and the plague and all these things, and we were going to be like the bold 90s, right? Or the, you know, the raging 20s, the flappers, and it has not happened actually. But like in our own ways, we're all having like little revolutions and renaissances, right? Whatever it is, if you can. And I think it's really, you guys have an amazing story to tell. Just the activism, creating these inclusive groups for communities. Like I said, I'm amazed that there's a Juneteenth day. I'm amazed, you know, I'm always skeptical of like corporations suddenly have a rainbow icon on social media, and I'm like, that's not enough. You know, it's good that you want to be progressive now, but where were you all this time? What will you do in the future to protect people, you know, vulnerable parties and vulnerable communities? So I love the activism here is real, almost as exciting as your badass music.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's definitely been really important for us in this time just to be alone and, like you said, see all the stuff on the news, but also not have an expression for it or an outlet for it, and just all the craziness in your head. It's been insane.
Right on. And yeah, I guess, you know, the Pacific Northwest has a reputation of being very open and you know, helpful and progressive and easier. But even within these communities, let's just be honest, rock, punk, metal just has insane history problems with just sexism, toxic masculinity, racism, fucking Nazis, just like,
seriously,
you know, just like mind-blowing amounts of isms that are bad. There are good isms too, but just all the bad ones. And I love this music. This is my home, but also like I'm honest enough to say, hey, a lot of this stuff is not okay and we can do better.
I agree, absolutely.
Yes.
And it's hard because, I mean, people think of the Pacific Northwest and you think of like, okay, Portland, Seattle. Those are only two cities. Like you drive 10 minutes away.
And it's a completely different story. Like you just
It's
cross
not,
over a bridge and you're like, holy hell.
you're like, oh, I gotta get out of here.
We just did that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we did, you know, and it can be scary because it's like you have your, you know, the pockets where you do feel safe and supportive and things might be, you know, open, but yeah, that's not the majority of spaces. And I think that that's something that we want to promote, of course, through our music and actions is inclusivity and music that is just, it's rock, you know, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
It
I
needs
feel like
to
that's,
stay
and I feel like
forever.
that's also how it comes with that kind of music where it's just like, you know, if you're an activist band, you can't also just be a fun band. Like you can't have both. People like try to make you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't stand for something and say that you're just like a Kiss band. You just want to have a good time, rock and roll, baby. You have to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
You have to not care about jack shit, or you have to care about everything and just be that person.
Yeah. So we're like, nah,
No,
we're gonna do both.
We're gonna do both.
Yeah, I grew up loving Kiss, but also like, oh, I see a lot of problems. Like, yeah, I see a minefield of problems, even though, you know, as a little kid, I didn't know any better. And I think that's the thing, like, if you were younger and you didn't know any better, okay, fine, but you have to have room to grow and change and, you know, understand that the world is evolving and you have to move with it. And,
Absolutely.
you know, we should have a safe, inclusive place always for everybody. And that's not in question. That's just to me, you know, I always hated the word tolerance, right? Because it really is a bare minimum feeling. And I always hate this as a writer and just in my life, I hate the word tolerance because it's not enough. I tolerate you. Ew, like really? I don't even have to love me.
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
I
You don't have to
Yeah.
love me, or, you know, I'm not everybody's cup of tea personally, but just like, yeah, you have to do better than tolerance. And it's 2021. Look at what we just came through. Like clearly we do better together, united, than not. And, you know, there's also, I think there's also an empathy and a compassion thing where, look, there's a lot of people just doing hatred as a daily, that's what they do with their breakfast and coffee, hatred and, you know, horribleness. And they're also people and they believe they're right. The best villains believe they're heroes, right? So like all these people are kind of insane to us who feel like, oh, you know, love is love and, you know, indigenous people rule and like equality for all and all these things and, you know, down with the patriarchy and all that. And I recognize I'm a white guy, a white metalhead guy with a beard and a beard, usually my vest. And I'm one of those guys. I can easily be one of those guys. I'm not, but I could be.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, you have to be aware of your shit. You just have to.
No, I love it though. And
I love it too.
you're like changing it from within, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I hope so. I was raised by like a badass first wave feminist. So that kind of shaped me personally, but not everybody's me. I'm often too much. I'm way too liberal for everybody. One of the funner tweets that got sent to me was they called us, instead of ghost cult, we were called woke cult. And I was like, yo, that works. I will take that. I will take that every day because word, you know, my whole life. But at the same time, like, yeah, the reason these communities exist, the reason there's this pushback now, the reason these fists are in the air now, these flags are waving now is because there hasn't been inclusive. We haven't had a fair space. So the both of you have worked really hard to kind of create these great communities that are really just changing the game, not just, you know, locally, but potentially everywhere, which I really appreciate.
Hey,
I think it's good. I think it's a good place for me to start because I'll tell you that I've been in a couple of dead end bands where, like, you know how it is. Like, you feel like you're playing in a band, and then you're playing with hierarchy. You're just playing because it's there, and you haven't taken that stand yet. Maybe you don't feel comfortable. Maybe you don't want to. Maybe you say it's not your fight at the moment. But in a couple of bands where I just felt like I didn't want to.
Yeah,
I didn't feel like I had either the power or just place to do it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
With these new projects, I really feel like that, like I said, we can kind of do both. And I really like that.
Yeah, I love it too. And I think there comes a point where there's so much that's thrown at you where, you know, even just walking into a venue, you get stuff that you have to kind of react to, or not even react, but respond to. So it's kind of inevitable that that would make it into how you're performing. And I think that's really where we came in.
Have you had like problems with dicky promoters and shitty
Oh, yeah.
managers and horrible sound
Yep.
people
Yep.
lowering your volume and not hooking you up your gear and not, oh,
God,
it's a
yeah,
woman.
there was a sound guy who he came up on the stage and I was loading up, like loading in the drums, and he asked me if I knew where to put the drums, like as a setup. Like, did I know how to set up the drums?
Just face palm.
I know, and
know.
there's other experiences I've been in where I've been with regular bands, and I don't, other guys that I played with, I noticed they don't think about these kind of things, but I catch myself having to think about it, where it's like, for certain venues, like we'll apply for multiple times and then someone will just play there. And then like, I literally seriously have to ask myself questions like, is this because I'm a woman? Or is this because I'm whatever? Like, and I feel like a lot of people don't have to ask themselves that. They just assume that like, oh, it's just because they said no, and no means we just didn't get picked. But it like,
No.
you catch it when you know that you're in that marginalized group, it's there. When you have to catch yourself thinking that, you're like, is it because of this?
Yeah.
And you have that anxiety for yourself. And it's just, I feel like I don't wish that on any musician to have to go to a venue and like have those kind of anxieties when all you really want to do is just perform.
Yeah, it should be simple.
Exactly.
Right. There's bare minimum courtesies and bare minimum things. And we're artists, this is my community also, artists and people who create and make. We just want, again, acceptance. We just want an audience. We just want a chance. And it's hard if you've been, if you've experienced any kind of prejudice against you, it colors your whole life, the rest of your life. You ever been bullied, picked on, or prejudiced against? There's people who can help you. Please reach out. Don't be, I know it's hard. It does seem impossible sometimes. I've been there, but you have to persevere. It seems like, this is something the both of you have experience with, which is great. And you're really encouraging others to kind of overcome these obstacles too. If you want to just unpack these organizations a little bit for our viewers, that would be awesome, because you can certainly speak to it better than I can from just a little bit of reading up and mouse clicking.
Oh, yeah. Sure. So it really started when we had some bad experiences with some engineers. So it was a really sexist environment when we were trying to record our album. And so we kind of took it into our own hands as Atrocity Girl and Kitty Junk to record at home. And we applied for an artist grant here in Seattle, and we got a grant. And so we were able to soundproof, or at least treat the room where the drums were going to be in. We could get cables. We borrowed a lot of gear because during COVID, a lot of bands weren't practicing. And so we asked, hey, are you using this mic or those monitors? And we had amazing mentors who loaned us gear to use. And so we were able to learn how to record. And then we threw ourselves into a bunch of audio engineering classes and learned how to work Pro Tools and things like that.
And I also love that as far as the gear goes, it was just, I think we started with, we had those experiences, and I think at some point we felt like we were at a ground zero. So the first thing that we did was make a post on our Facebooks and saying like, hey, we're going to record ourselves. And then instantly we had a handful of both. We had a handful of these encouraging ladies saying like, please, yes, do this yourself. But then we also had a handful of other people just telling us like, you'll never do this yourself.
Yeah.
You've not been in the industry long enough. This is a fallacy. You're not going to make it. You're going to embarrass yourself. This is stupid. You should go back to what you're good at.
Yeah.
And don't try. And but the other women that were really encouraging, like lent us the scare, and they're like, we loved sharing your story. Like, I think we can help, because they want us to keep us going with what we were doing. We were so grateful for that.
And that's how Women in Audio started. It started as a Facebook group, really just for a few people in Seattle trying to learn as much as we could as fast as possible. and I was in, I actually just finished the audio engineering, the production program here at the college here. And the certificate program was good, but there were no female professors, no people of color. And so I really was reaching out like, hey, are there any women here who do this? I would love to hear from you and love to connect. And that's how it all started. And then all of a sudden it just kept growing. And then we were putting on these master classes every week via Zoom. And we had people like Sylvia Massey come on to do a demo, who worked with Tool. We had Susan Rogers
Yeah.
who engineered
That
Prince.
was, yes.
Like she came on and did an interview with us. And so it kept being really active and encouraging, and then became this community, and it kept growing. And then we were thinking, well, we'd really like to start doing demos and reviews of the gear that's being used. And at that point, Gear Space was still called Gear Sluts. And we were like, oh, that's not great. That doesn't feel great. So we started Gear Fanatics as a response to that. And it's all, it's women powered, women led. We have sponsors, we have affiliates from Isotope and Universal Audio. So we're doing these demos, and it's all women reviewing this amazing gear. And so that's really how it started, was just this idea that kind of snowballed into a community of women who wanted to share and be encouraged in the field.
That's amazing. I want to say also, I feel like the word slut was reclaimed back, because sex shaming is terrible in any way.
Yeah.
And I feel like the word was reclaimed back, and then something happened on Reddit where circle jerk and slut became synonymous with just like fandoms. And then cupcake slut was a blog, and why live in wine country, wine sluts. It's like, okay, if you own it, if you're gonna own it, but also there are other words to choose that mean the same thing, or what you're trying to go for.
Exactly. And the whole thing there was that the founder, is this guy who actually, the forum for Gear Space was built by a woman named Meg Lee Chin. And that work was actually really taken from her, and she was not given the credit, or the financial stability that it should have given her based on how big it became. So we got in touch with her, and we got to interview her and hear her story. And funny enough, I wrote a blog about her, just like a blog post. And the founder, the owner of Gear Sluts, actually emailed me. Like, I woke up one morning with an email in my inbox saying, oh, so you're writing about me. It was really interesting, really telling, like, this does matter. Representation matters, and giving credit where it's due really matters. And so the Wikipedia was actually changed.
I remember that day because I found it really interesting, and I was like, that's so interesting that it was only the day after you interviewed to hear her story that popped up. And I was just like, well,
yeah. And so now it does say founded by, Meg Lee Chin. And so I feel like that it's that kind of thing that is important, and people, might not think about it as much, but it's the behind the scenes people who really matter.
And it's funny, and I love that we just played with a local girl here last night. I invited her to our space to play with her. We just did a little fun acoustical set, but I asked about her story, and she said, yeah, she's like, it's just been really great to find girls to play with, because she's like, it's so hard. And I'm like, yeah, and I was like that, and like I think that's why that representation matters, because it's like, here's just one girl, she has the pipe dream that everybody has, but she cannot for the life of her find any outlets for anything. Mm-hmm. So it was really empowering to watch her just be like, I just loved hanging out with you tonight, it was so cool.
It was so fun.
And then the same with the engineers, where it's like, I love that women can find this group and be like, okay, cool.
That's awesome. I'm glad you just kind of mentioned in passing Sylvia Massey and Susan Rogers. I had a really fun Prince experience that talked about inclusivity. I know Prince is like, it's Prince month, right? His birthday passed, and rest in peace and all that power.
Yes.
I had the fortune to see the Revolution play a few years ago. And at the end of the show, Wendy, because they're still like touring occasionally.
Yeah.
And they have people come in and kind of cover Prince's parts, but it's the original Revolution basically, which is amazing.
Right.
And Wendy's the leader, of course. And she made an incredible speech at the end. I wish she would write a book on this or something. She was like, Prince picked like an Island of Misfit Toys group of every rainbow, every orientation, every background, and just took us on the face value of our music. And whatever we came in with, he accepted us as people. And that's like Prince, who was, Prince. He was Prince out of the gate when he was like 16.
Yeah.
But, when he put that group together they didn't just back him, they did, but they also wrote with him. They co-wrote those albums. And, you know, and they, you know, so I thought it was really like, Wendy was in tears. We were all kind of getting choked up. I was like, this is amazing. I could, you know, this is the spirit we need. This is the energy we have to keep going on. And when you talk about like you jamming with that new friend, that incremental change is how the change actually happens. It's going to be slow. It's a glacier. It's not,
Yeah, it is.
not the road runner. It's not a sprint. It's a long marathon. So anybody making a change, this is, I'm, like I said, equally excited about the stuff you guys do out of music, within music. So I really appreciate you both.
When I was just as skeptical as at first because it's so easily to get overwhelmed. And Angie has been my inspiration as far as just like, she's such a go-getter, and I love how she keeps going because like I've never met anyone like her who's just doesn't, she gets overwhelmed, but she pushes, and and a lot of us, it's hard to do that. But it was so, I remember the first day that we formed that group, or when we decided to record, where like it just kept getting bigger, and like you can actually see the glacier. After a while, you start seeing that glacier you're talking about moving, and you're like, oh my God, like 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, you're like, oh my God.
Well,
So,
and I mean, she equally inspires me. The reason, you know, I even applied for that grant in the first place, it's for the band, you know, and that's what I would encourage people to do as well, who feel like they don't, I mean, you can do a lot of things on a budget anyway. You don't need a lot, but you can also seek grants. And I didn't think that we would actually, you know, our application would even be read, but it was. And there are things like that actually can happen.
Awesome. Please keep it up. Keep us posted. We're going to link everything in the description of this, your music, all these other things. You know, I will collab with your awesome PR, Michelle, and we will handle it and share this. The story is a story that needs to get out more, and we need more of you. If we could clone you, that would be great. But
yes.
Atrocity Girl, let's talk about some music, has a recent single, Suffering Skin, which is badass, but it's also got a very powerful message, which I love. I love anything mental health awareness. Lost some friends to suicide, and struggled myself with anxiety my whole life. I'm pretty open about that to everybody. So what a badass tune, but also like a tune with something behind it, not just riffs.
Thanks. Yeah, that was written by Johnny Angel. She is in California right now visiting family. But yeah, Atrocity Girl, that was our main vision at that time when we built the studio. And I mean, there's a scream in there that's like 8 bars. And that was one take of her scream. You know, like that's her. Just so everybody knows, like that was actually her. And yeah, it's so amazing and powerful to hear that actually happening live, because we had walkie-talkies. You know, she was in the closet of a room and I was down the hall recording, and so we would talk to each other with walkie-talkies, like, was that a good take? You know, yes. And to hear the guitar being laid down, and then bass, and to that, you know, then during the mixing process and sending files back and forth, and all the while, I mean, really
also just knowing her story about what the way after she told us when she wrote it, and just watching it all come together in real time, it was so exhilarating, and like, oh my God, I was like, yes.
Yeah, and
so awesome.
And she has an epic idea for a music video. I mean, we're all super supportive of mental health awareness, and I also have anxiety. Definitely, I have PTSD. Like, we're all super open about our struggles, and music being an outlet, you know, and can be a salvation for that too. So I definitely feel like Suffering Skin represents Atrocity Girl, and definitely the power of Johnny Angel's songwriting and her talent.
Right on. I also love the previous single, was that Fuck Yourself, was really fun, super angry and awesome. It was a good housework song or baking song if I'm cooking. It's a good song for the kitchen. Chop these fucking onions.
I always tell Johnny when we go and play live, I'm begging to like, it's like, so that one next,
Fuck yourself.
that one next. I was like, it's like, fuck
right,
yes.
it's a sing along. It's the big sing along.
Yeah, that was so much fun. Well, and Johnny shot the music video on her phone, which was super fun.
Nice.
So yeah, she kidnapped us and chained us up.
Yikes. So yeah, I think there's an album in the works. Is that right?
Yeah. We actually, so we have some tracks that we've been working on, and then we have another an opportunity with an organization here called Jack Straw, and we're going to have studio time with them to finish the album up, and we have material for the next album after that. So we're just really excited.
Awesome, awesome. And then Kitty Junk is its own different thing. You're both in both bands, and Kitty
Yeah.
Junk, I feel like it's a little more punk than metal or hard rock, but it's definitely got an edge to it, and it's fun. There's a little more. I think there's a little more fun in Kitty Junk, maybe. If that's
Yay.
fair.
Yes, no, it is fair. No,
Totally fair.
Kitty Junk was definitely like combination of her and I, and just the charisma, but also she is an incredible professor at
Everywhere.
everywhere. You know, for
Wherever I can get a job.
yeah, seriously, for women's studies, and we just really like were gushing over feminism, but at the same time just being obnoxiously silly. As a drummer, she loves Meg of the White Stripes. I've always been a huge Royal Blood fan since they came out, and I really just, and I've never had experience with a duo project, but I don't know, between my other punk band Mallory and Atrocity Girl, this fusion happened, and just with all of the like revolution and activism with Angie and I, plus the music, just all of this like rhythm section, but also just all this fun just was like overboiling, and we ended up seeing something here, so we're like, we can't just let this sit, can we? So we just were like, we have to do something with all this. It's insane.
It's been
So
the best time ever, and it's so funny because we started as, you know, the rhythm section for Atrocity Girl. We're just, you know, practicing and like getting tight for the band, and then we started jamming and writing and yeah, just talking about everything we've been going through. But also fun is always like the point of the day, and especially going through something as chaotic as COVID this past year, we really kind of came together for those silly moments, for some escapism, maybe hopefully to make somebody else laugh too, and to listen to music. But it's really that combination of like, you know, that the moment that you can get away from work and the problems of the day.
I also love that there's this meme that I saw on Facebook where it was a picture of a metal band, but they were all smiling, and they're like, what the fuck, man? You can't smile in a metal band. So I think I love with Kitty Junk, I love that we're part of the thing we were taking on is instead of like playing this heavy music and looking edgy, we wanted to glam up and wear makeup and just look like ourselves and have fun with it. But at the same time, just like be incredibly random, because I just feel like I love the imagery of not having to like, oh, if you're in rock or you're something, you have to be edgy.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you don't.
It's like we're rocking out as hard as we possibly can, but we're also not trying to, you know, fit into any stereotype either.
Yeah.
Word. I know they say dance like no one's watching or sing like no one's listening. Smile when no man is telling you to smile or you should smile.
Yes,
Yes,
I love
I
it.
love it so much.
I should put that on a sticker. But
Yeah, we're constantly laughing, and that's what's so much fun. And we have an album, like that's what's been so crazy about this trajectory during quarantine. We met an amazing engineer she's helping us mix and everything, and we went and laid down 11 tracks in like 2 days. So that's going to be coming.
Just all of this material that we wrote. We were still doing Atrocity Girl and playing live streams and writing, but I just love writing songs. I just love writing songs. So I just had next thing I know, it'd been the end of the year, and I had like next thing I know, we've written like.
So there's more for the next album. Like there's just I mean, what are you gonna do?
Some of it's silly, some of it's we just had a single release called Head Rush. It's a very deep and important topic, but then I have other songs called Sassy for Us. It's literally about me just being a sassy bitch. Like I love that it goes, there's no maintaining like a certain like feel to each song. It's just whatever.
But that is one of the like most pounding, like sweat drenched songs. Sassy. And that's what I love. It's like she's screaming like sassy, but it's so pounding. And that's, to me, that's such a fun combination.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. Keep up all the good work. If anyone wants to get involved locally or elsewhere, like I said, we'll have links to anything. But what advice can you give if anybody's inspired, and I hope they are by your story, to help? Because I think that's where we can. How do we help you keep uplifting people as we uplift you, and hopefully we all domino this thing.
I was gonna say the first thing foremost, because since we have taken on engineering, like even if you're a woman in audio and you want to join our group on Facebook, feel free to, because we've gone international. Like we have women in Brazil, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So like we can join that group on
Facebook. It's
Facebook.
Women in Audio, women spelled with an X.
X.
So you can go to Gear Fanatics spelled with an X, .com, and you can find reviews and articles and information there. kittyjunk.com. I mean, we have a bunch of what we're up to on the website as well. But yeah, if anyone wants to write about gear or write about music, or if you're learning something and you want to take a video, you know, I think that would be super fun. We'll put it up on our YouTube, and yeah, would love to encourage people to do that.
I was also going to say the last thing is also musically, like I was also going to say, also never doubt yourself to be yourself through music is my advice musically. I've played in a lot of bands where I haven't been able to express myself fully. I thought I was happy. I thought I was doing it for the right reasons, but when you look at yourself in the mirror, you're miserable. So don't think that if you're stuck in a rut, that's your only option. I was like, if you feel like there's something greater for you out there, if you already have that thought in your head, chances are there is. And so do it.
Love it. What a great final thought there. Ryan and Angie from Atrocity Girl and Kitty Junk, thank you so much for sharing your story. These are the stories I live for. These are the most important stories. Talk to a lot of people here. It goes called podcasts, interviews, etc. So great to hear from you and have you share your story. I cannot wait to hear some more music from y'all. And thank you so much for hanging out with us. I deeply appreciate it. Stay up, stay fighting, and we will keep looking out. We'll listen out for more. We got more stuff on the way. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.